welcome to a brand new season of the Good Guys podcast. My name is Brandon Dixon. I am a humble father of four, and as always, I am joined by none other than the Honorable, the Reverend Joshua Ezzy.
Man, Kendrick must have inspired you.
What do you mean?
That Ezzy almost went as long as the A minor.
Okay, all right. That's the same intro that I've always done. Has nothing to do with Kendrick Lamar. But nonetheless, we are back with the Good Guys podcast. I know we have been gone for a while. It's been a few years, but we are back, and we've got a great show. We've got some great discussions that we're going to have, so we are excited to be back. I know I am. J.E., how about you, my friend?
Man, I don't have to come back if I was always here. I never left.
Well, the Good Guys podcast specifically, I know you've been doing your own thing.
Yeah.
Providing theological content for people on YouTube. Check his page out, Joshua Ezzy. But I'm talking about the Good Guys podcast, Josh. Are you happy to be back with the Good Guys podcast?
Yeah, man. I'm excited, man. This is the perfect time to come back, man. I'm excited about. A lot of people have been messaging me. A lot of people have been commenting. A lot of people said, Coach, where is the Good Guys podcast? Here you go.
Absolutely. So yeah, definitely glad to be back. Just to kind of, I guess, address the elephant in the room, if you will. I don't know how many people are still watching from a couple of years ago, but if you are, you're probably wondering why the podcast went away. And yeah, listen, it was a decision that was mostly on my part. That was made with, decision that was not made lightly, but at the time, had a lot going on the home front, was dealing with some things as far as, with my marriage and with my wife. And so, made the decision to step away from the podcast in order to, allocate more of my time towards that and trying to, make things work. And unfortunately, it didn't work. So, unfortunately, I am no longer a happily married man, as I normally say in the podcast intro. So, there was no infidelity or anything like that going on. Nothing, no, abuse, obviously, anything like that. It was more so just a situation where two people kind of grew in different directions. We went through, we got dealt some pretty heavy stuff over the course of our marriage, and we did our best to fight through it. But I think ultimately, when you go through certain things, it causes different people to react differently. And I think we both kind of grew in different directions as far as what we wanted things to look like going forward from a family standpoint, from a geographical standpoint. So, decision was made with a lot of prayer, with a lot of therapy. Saw a couple of different therapists. So I say that to say it wasn't a decision that was made lightly. I definitely don't. I'm not a proponent of divorce. I'm not happy about it. It's not necessarily what I wanted the outcome to be, but that's where we are. We are, happily co-parenting the kids together, and that's the situation. I say that to say, the reason that I reached out to Josh to kind of reinstate the podcast is because I feel like, I have an added perspective that I can add that we didn't necessarily have before, per se. Before, we had, both of us were happily married and everything was great. And I'm sure people watched the podcast and they were like, hey, that's awesome. Those two guys have it all together. But I'm sure there were men, and there are still men, who watched the podcast and were like, hey, that's great for them, but I'm not married, I'm single, or, I've had a divorce, or I have kids, with the mother of my children that I'm not married to. So what does that look like for me? How do I navigate through life in different scenarios, trying to be a good guy, trying to be a Christian guy, in those scenarios. And so I think that's an added perspective that I can bring to the podcast now. So I'm excited about some of the discussions that we're going to be able to have centered around those different perspectives. And so, yeah, and that, without going into too much detail, I'll leave it there. I hate to kind of start the podcast on such a serious note. Have no fear. There will be plenty of foolishness and shenanigans discussed here on the podcast. So without further ado, J.E., you have anything to add before we get started?
Yeah, man. When BD reached out to me, man, I had to help my brother out, man. I understood, or I understand, especially with coaching and counseling other men, that the creative outlet can really save an individual's focus, can save an individual from falling into unnecessary things. So I said, man, let's get to it. That's what brothers are for. That's what family's for. And I said, man, let's get to it. Let's get this podcast going. Because what we don't want BD to do is to be out here in these streets. Okay. We want BD focused. We want him focused on the podcast, focused on producing, creating. We don't want BD in the streets or in someone else's sheets. So we had to do this podcast for sure.
J.E.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? You're right, though. You're all right. And I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that's a perspective that I can bring because, again, I'm sure there's other guys who, men who have gone through divorce and gone through different things. And you may feel like, I guess that's it. My marriage didn't work. There's no point in me trying to be a good guy anymore. There's no point in me trying to, be a man of God anymore. I messed that up. And that's not true. You can still be a man of God. You can still be a Christian. And that doesn't mean that you just need to go out and run the streets and, just knock them down. No, you still have purpose. And so I hope that I can, again, bring that perspective to the podcast going forward.
You definitely will, BD. I'm excited about that angle because I think we are able to hit a more well-rounded audience as far as providing them with insight and just perspective. So that those gentlemen and ladies who are going through something similar will be able to still find hope in Christ and something to do with their hands productively and creatively that will set them up to see what God will unfold in this new unfortunate, but could be fortunate season of their lives. So I'm excited about it, man. Let's get this podcast going. We got through the serious stuff. We had to let y'all know because we've been gone for a long time. And as this is a good teaching moment, like family comes first. Listen, if you have to get away, get away. If you have to take care of the family, take care of the family. Nobody's business, nobody's creative outlet should come before their family and their overall well-being. So BD, you had to do it, man, and I supported you, and God saw fit for us to be right back with it.
Absolutely. Well said, my brother. All right. Well, with all of that seriousness out of the way, we're going to start the podcast as we usually do with the weekly airing of grievances. And I've got a two-part airing of grievances here today, J.E., and I think it's only appropriate. We've been gone for a while. Got a lot of stuff pent up. Okay.
All right.
So we're going to start, and I've got a clip. This one is, let's watch the clip. Let's watch the clip here.
Let's do the math.
Now, you said the first one was...
Because men got confused.
Nails.
Yep.
Nails, that's $250.
Yep, $250 to $275.
I don't take the low end, $250. And the hair is what, 4?
Hair, we taking the low end?
Yeah, take the low end.
Let's say $700 for the wig.
Okay.
$500 for the wig.
That's the low
It
end?
depends.
For a wig?
$500 for the wig.
Okay.
$300 for the install.
What? That's different?
Installation?
Yes. That does not
That's
come with the
crazy.
wig.
Okay.
These hairstylists want their money for the install. What else is a part of self-care day? Oh, beauty supplies. That's a store run by itself that cost about at least $300 for beauty supplies. When you go to the beauty supply store, every woman spends in between $200 to $300 at the beauty store.
Every woman?
Everything's
Is
high.
this-
On the low
this
end,
true?
bro, the 200. Okay. Whew, it's getting up there. What else?
Restock.
Restock what?
Restock. Women go and do restocks on their self-care days.
What?
Restock whatever you need. Deodorant, perfume.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
So that's what, like $50?
No. deodorants, perfumes, feminine care, all that
60
stuff. That's gonna run you
$60?
about. That's gonna run you about 200.
Do she got a miscellaneous?
Okay. So we're at like $2,000 with everything that she just listed there, JE.
Wow.
This is disturbing. This is listen, I don't have a problem with, making sure that your significant other has the things that she needs, right? I will, let me start there, right? I think that, your significant other, wife, girlfriend, whoever it is ultimately a reflection of you, right? So I do think that it is important to, hey, make sure, you know what I mean, your significant other, hey, go get your hair done, get your nails did, do whatever you got to do, to take care of yourself, keep yourself up, keep yourself looking good. That's important as a man. But $2,000, JE?
Wow.
$2,000 is wild. Now, I know different people have different, budgets, different lifestyles. Maybe she's dealing with a certain type of man, level of baller, who has the funds to send her to spend $2,000 on self-care. My thing is this, JE,
Okay.
and I
okay.
think the problem is when you make that a demand, like when that's like you put that out there as that is the expectation, I think that is going to, like, that causes us as men to not really not want to do it as much. Here's what I'll say, right? If I have a significant other and she is, she's holding down the house, she's phenomenal with the kids, I get a nice cooked meal, maybe two, 3 times a week, something like that. You know what I mean? Like a brother's not walking around here hungry. The house looks nice. The kids are taken care of. However we're working together, you may be employed, and I may, obviously, I'm helping out as well around the house as well. However we have that arranged, right? But you're killing it though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're holding it down. You're holding me down emotionally, spiritually, everything. And in that scenario, you're probably not going to have to ask, hey, I need a self-care day. I'm going to send you away on a self-care day. And if if that's you and you're doing those things and you have a sweet spirit about you, it's going to make a man want to send you on a self-care day. Now, depending on the situation, I don't know if it's going to be $2,000, but
Yeah,
it's possible. Yeah, there's levels. Maybe we get to a point where I can send you on a $2,000 self-care day, but I don't mind doing that when you're not making it a demand, when you're not making an expectation. I think that's where my grievance lies. She's saying this like this is the bare minimum. Like this is just, like that's automatic. And to me, I'm like, yo, that sounds like a $2,000 bill is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
When it comes to, me looking for a significant other, I'm looking for someone who is going to, is going to be an asset. And that, it goes both ways. Obviously I'm bringing things to the table as well, but I'm looking for someone who's going to be an asset, not necessarily just a liability. So if I get into, my corporate B bag, and if we look at accounting, we're looking at the ledger, right? From the jump on the liabilities column, we've got $2,000 of expenses, of liabilities. So what's on the other? What's in the assets ledger? What are we bringing to the table? And I think that's, kind of what we have to look at as far as a $2,000 self-care day. JE, what are your thoughts here?
I will say this. Your expectations bare minimum must match your execution bare minimum. If your bare minimum of expectation doesn't match your bare minimum of execution, then what are we talking about?
Yeah.
See, men are investors, especially when you have a good man, good investor. If the reflection, if the woman is the reflection of the man, the woman also has to be a reflection of the plan. What's the mission? What's the vision of the marriage? What's the mission? What's the vision of us? Because if you're expecting things in a season of struggle and coming together and fighting through something, then my friend, you're not for the vision or the mission. You have your own submission. See, your mission has to be a submission. It has to submit to God's vision. And I think what she's requiring self-care is like, in order for that self-care to be a part, like BD said, it cannot be in a liability column. It has to be a part of the asset column. Like if I provide for your self-care, then what are you carrying and what are you carrying? Like what are you caring for and what are you caring with? Mm-hmm. Yo, where we going? If I'm paying for you to be cute, nothing wrong with that. We desire to do that, but it must be a want and not a have to. I should want to do it. There should be something that I see from you that says, man, I'm going to, like, one thing about my wife, she makes me want to do more. That's why I'm out here working. That's why I'm getting things done. Like she makes me want to. And right now, our life may not match the level that we're going to, but at the same time, it's in the back of my mind. Oh, I'm grinding. I want to make sure that she can have that level of self-care. But man, if you like self-care means I'm taking care of myself so that I can carry something. So that I can care for. That's what I'm getting to. She's talking like I'm just going to be cared for. And that should be your joy. That you care for me. And that should make you, ladies, let me tell you something about men. Men don't care about that. Yes, we want you to be attractive. Yes, we want you to look good, feel good and stuff like that. But man, if you're a weight, then that might be too much that we invest in, man. And so, yeah, that's crazy. $2,000. I want to know how often. Is this weekly?
Whew, that's a good question,
Monthly?
JE. Is this once a month or is this like every other week you got to get the wig reset? Or what are we looking at here?
I said, I didn't know they had an installation fee. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Unfortunately, I've never dealt with a female who wears wigs. I had no idea that the wig game was that expensive. What did she say?
Wow.
$700 for the wig itself. Just for the wig, JE. That wig isn't doing anything.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Another $300 for the install. We're talking about $1,000 for a piece of hair. That hair better be whipping up some dinner. That hair better be a snuggie for me when I'm cold and laying on the couch. That hair better be.
Can it extend to a blanket? Can you cover me?
Can it cover me?
Can you keep me warm?
$1,000? That is wild. What we're gonna have to invest in is maybe some hair growth products. Maybe that, I'm just saying, maybe that's a worthwhile investment as well. I mean, I think it would be more cost effective at this point than a wig.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's wild.
$2,000. $2,000 is a lot, but it's not a lot if a lot has been done. Like I think the sky's the limit for what a husband will want to do for their wife at a high level. When I get to that level, man, $2,000 would be nothing because she provides so much more. Right. the more, but the thing is, like, so I said, the bare minimum of your expectation should not supersede the bare minimum of your execution. So what I mean by that, your bare minimum of execution and your bare minimum expectation must match. And your bare minimum of expectation should also match the stage of your marriage. If your man is out here grinding and he's doing his thing and you expecting that, bro, fellas, run for the hills. Go hide yourself. Because you got a headache on your hands and a hair bill, apparently. But what we're saying is that The sky's the limit on the self-care package that a man wants to give his wife or his
Right.
significant other, but it cannot be an expectation without investigation. You have to investigate. Are we at the place to do this? Is this man even at the place? And why am I going to add an extra one thing about men, we don't want you to become a bill.
Yeah.
We want you to be okay. All right.
Okay.
A thrill holistically. Okay.
A holistic
thrill, like
yeah.
a holistic thrill. Like I was just trying to rhyme, but obviously we went down
That
but
rhyming
we
will
want
get you in trouble
we
sometimes.
want you to be an enjoyment, a joy. Brandon, when you were married, and as I'm married, when the light bill come around, how did you feel when the light bill came around?
Wasn't the best of times. Wasn't my favorite date of the month. But
Wow, how did you
it was,
feel when the car bill or the mortgage bill? Anytime a bill came around, how did you feel, Brent?
didn't feel good, JE. I felt like my money was coming in one end and just going right out the other.
Ladies, don't be that. Don't
Yeah.
be a bill. Be someone that can fulfill. And then you'll
And
see.
that's really,
Yeah, go ahead, BD. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I was just, it's nothing wrong with, and again, I think most men want to be able to do
That's
for
right.
their
That's right.
significant other.
No matter
So
the cost.
we're right, like, and we're joking, and we make light of it, but at the end of the day, especially if you got a good guy, we're not trying to have you out here looking busted down. Like, we want you to be looking nice. We want you to be put together well. But if you approach it in the way that this fine young lady is approaching it, it makes you, like J.E. said, it makes you look like you're coming into my life as an expense.
As an
So
expense.
what you want to do is present yourself into your man of God's life as an asset. Be his piece. Add value to his life. And it doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's not, even if you can't cook, even if you're not making meals, 2-3 times a week or whatever your gift is, right? We all have gifts. Whatever your gift is, whatever you can bring to the relationship, to his life. And again, vice versa. Obviously, we as men are expected to bring a lot to the table. We're expected to provide. We're expected to protect. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just saying, bring something to the table as well. And as you do that, and as you have a sweet personality, you have, an appreciative personality, you appreciate the things that, he's doing, and he's appreciating the things that you're doing. He's going to want to naturally do things for you. He's going to want to take care of you. He's going to want to send you off to get, your wig installed for $1,000. Maybe not, but you get the point. So yeah, present yourself as an asset, not as a liability. Nothing wrong with wanting self-care, or nothing wrong with wanting to take care of yourselves, but don't make that, the main, the what you present when you come to the relationship. Hey, these are my demands. These are my requirements. That's just going to make a man want to pull away and not do it for you.
Listen, you're not the prize. Let's just keep it 100. You're not the prize. I'm not the prize. The prize is the legacy.
There you
The
go.
legacy, the fulfillment. That's the prize. And a lot of people, men and women, apparently, they have this ideology that they're the prize. Therefore, they make demands. But when you understand, that's why I said before in some video, like, the goal for a strong union is cooperation and cooperation. Cooperation is, can we work together? Like, when me and BD's on the basketball court, that pick and roll is unstoppable. I remember one time I went to the YMCA, and these college guys, we're talking about maybe D1, I don't know, didn't even care. Any gym I walk into, it is what it is. They looked at us with such disdain. I said, can we do twos? And they looked at us like, two, the kids say 2v2 now, but y'all want to play us? Sure. They thought this was going to be a warm-up game. Me and BD beat them to their game was unrecognizable. And then we went to the bench just who we are. What am I saying?
Yeah.
That pick and roll, pick and pop, pick and fade, there's chemistry, cooperation. I know for a fact if BD got the jumper going, the ball's going to Brandon. I'm setting screens. There's no ego.
Yeah.
What am I saying? You got to be able to say, can we cooperate? If we cooperate, then we can build a corporation, a marriage that can last, something that will be legacy like. And that's what you got to think about as a woman. It's like, okay, am I going to give this man headaches? Or am I going to give him something that he can really take and go forward and put a battery in his back and put him out there where he's known at the gates that he's coming? Because ladies, it's already stressful out here. It's already rough out here. So we don't want to come home to a bill that we got to pay unnecessary attention to, putting ourselves in a marital detention, and we're locked in, locked away from being who we need to be. So think about what you bring to the table. Really think about it. Really think about what you can bring to the table physically. Are you in the gym? Are you going to be able to, you know what I mean? What do you bring to the table mentally? Are you able to problem solve, critically think? What do you bring to the table emotionally? Do you have systems of emotional regulation? What do you bring to the table spiritually? Are you able to pray this man through? Cover him. Are you able to, are you a relational asset? What do you bring to the table relationally? Do you bring back poor misrepresentation of relationships based upon how your parents did it? Are you bringing unrealistic expectations relationally? Think about what you bring to the table. Because I'm telling you, man, a lot of us, we got a lot on our minds when we're at tables of life trying to figure things out. And we can't sit here trying to figure you out as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, BD.
So, yeah.
I wasn't even trying to preach, bro, man. Let's get through this. Let's get out of
good
this.
stuff. It's good
That's
stuff.
good, yeah,
And
yeah.
we're actually going to touch back on it later because there's going to be a little bit more discussion. So we'll get back to that. I got one more part of my airing of grievances.
Okay.
This one definitely a little bit more on the comedic side. I'm sorry. I saw this and I just said, this is wrong. It's wrong. So let's just watch this clip because I kind of want to break it down. There's a lot to analyze here.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get to it.
There you go. Oh, step back.
Off to the left.
Come on,
Okay.
get a bucket. Be quiet.
That's true. Be quiet. Get a bucket.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta check him up.
Okay.
And it was at this moment.
Okay. Oh.
That man broke the rim. Shaquille O'Neal.
J.E. Listen, siblings shouldn't do this to each other. It just breaks my heart. I've got sons and I would never want to, I don't know how I would feel about that, J.E. I love the competitive nature. Okay. I'm glad these kids are outside. I'm glad they're competing.
Yes.
But my goodness, listen, here's where I knew that clip was about to go bad. The first kid misses the shot, and then he turns around. Couple of things. The dad had to tell him to shut up and get a bucket. Okay, that's number one. If you miss the shot, you should be turning around, ready to clamp up. You know what I mean? Getting ready to clamp up on defense. Okay. The second thing that told me that this was about to go in a bad direction was when he reached up and grabbed a leaf from the tree and just kind of flicked it up in the air for it to just be carried away by the wind. That told me right there. He doesn't have the right mindset for what's about to happen. And sure enough, he checked the ball up.
Wow.
Oh, man, his brother came down and absolutely punched on him with a reckless abandon. There was no backboard on the goal, which is another conversation in and of itself, but my goodness.
Man, that's the best type of goal right there. No backboard. That jumper going to be crazy.
See,
let me tell you something. No.
He didn't need a jumper.
Let me tell you something, BD. I grew up. Now, for those who don't know, I've known Brandon since probably 9th, 10th grade. Mm-hmm. Upper middle class, BD was. I was the bottom of the class, both in school and in the streets, right? There was no class for my class, right?
Okay.
The basketball goals I used to shoot on was similar to that. See, I grew up with double rims. Actually, my first, the main goal I got buckets on was a crate nailed to a tree. So that goal right there, I almost shed a tear when I saw that goal. I said, man, I'm home. This feels like me. I mean, the gravel was uneven. I mean, the fence, we needed a fence because the ball always went to the street. My house, the places where we played ball, the ground wasn't leveled. You see what I'm saying? Places where BD played ball, level. The ball can roll about half a mile and don't hit the street. Them long driveways, right? But yeah, man, that goal is a special goal, man. And now it's broken because his brother didn't want to see what I'm saying? Now, knowing good and well, they got that goal. That goal is years old. It don't have a backboard. So now that the goal is broken, not only is his kid's heart broken, but now the kid's game that actually got game, now he has to take a break because he broke the rim.
Unfortunately.
This should let you know, guys, here's a life lesson in this.
Okay.
Keep your head on a swivel. Ball, man, and basket. That's life. If you listen, depending on what life is, because life is going to have you on the defense. And everyone knows the deeper you are in the paint, you're able to see the whole floor. You know where the basket is. You know where the enemy wants to get to. You know where your opponent wants to get to. So you know where the basket is. But you got to know where ball and man is. You got to know exactly, okay, this is where the ball's coming from. This is my man. Because what happens when you only focus on the ball? When the ball goes up and your man, you don't know where your man is, you get punched on. It reminds me of Gideon. Not Jesus, but God told Gideon to bring, same person, I'm just saying, it was Old Testament. God told Gideon, hey, take the men down to the water.
Yeah.
Gideon was like, to the water? Okay, whatever you say, but okay, we'll watch and see. He said, observe how the men drink the water. He says, if the men bow down and drink the water without looking, send them back home. But the men that bring the water to themselves and keep their head on a swivel, those men are fit for war.
Yeah.
That young man grabbing branches and leaves, don't be that guy.
Not fit for war.
Because the enemy roams around like a roaring lion, or LeBron James, seeking someone whom to devour or dunk on. So you got to think about it. Yo, can't be careful out here because your enemy wants to dunk on you. And what's the worst thing that could ever happen? Well, I don't know, BD. That's a good question. What's the worst thing? Getting crossed up, falling, or getting punched on and falling?
That's tough. I would probably say getting punched on because there's a level of finality that comes with that. The crossover, they might miss the jumper afterwards. The dunk on, that's it. Show's over. You got dunked on. The point was scored. We're on to the next possession, and you have to sit there and you have to take it.
See, yeah, that's true because if you get dunked on, there's no, like if you cross me, I can grab you.
Yeah.
Like if you cross me, I can reach out and grab the hem of your garment and pull you down with me. Nah, fam. Nah, you ain't. Nope. Nah, man.
Yep.
You ain't going nowhere with this. Yup. Boo me if you want to, crowd. Yup. Give me a flagrant. But when
I
you
think
get
that's a
dunked
deep.
on, go ahead, BD. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't want to get too far away from the spiritual lesson that you took us to on this one because I don't know that this is a little bit deeper than I initially thought here, J.E.
It's deep, BD.
When you're in life,
Whoa,
right?
Whoa, wow.
In life,
that
right?
stutter.
You talked about being in the paint and protecting, the most important thing, the basket. Right? We all have things. We all have weaknesses, areas where we struggle.
Yes.
So the basket is that area that you struggle with, right?
Ooh. Okay, BD.
And the sibling with the basketball is Satan, is the enemy. and he's looking for an opportunity to take you out. And see, when you take your eyes off of the basket and protecting the basket, when you're reaching up into the trees for the leaves, and you're flicking them up in the air, and you're just, you're paying attention to TV and the social medias and the things like it, you're distracted, JE. That's when the enemy has an opportunity to come right down the paint.
Okay.
And come right at the very thing that it is that you struggle with. In this scenario, it was that basket that had no backboard. But in your scenario, it might be lust. In your scenario, it might be gluttony. It could be a bevy of things. And when you take your eyes, when you're not focused, that's when the enemy comes in and he punches on you with a reckless abandon. What we just saw in this video is worse than what Cain did to Abel. What we saw in this video was worse than Jacob and Esau. It is an absolute travesty, but if you keep your eyes on the goal, if you stay focused, J.E., this won't happen to you.
Man, Deacon Dixon.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let the deacon cook. The deacon have seen some things. The deacon has been observant. See, we preachers, we be preaching, but that's what we're known for. But sometimes you got to give the deacon the mic.
Sometimes you got to give the deacon the mic.
Let the deacon,
when they give the deacon the mic, bro, the deacons be cooking now. So give the deacon the mic.
They talk for a long time, but the deacons, you got to put a little organ behind that, BD. I said, BD over there preaching right now.
Yeah, man.